everybody, how you doing today? It's been a couple of weeks since I've actually done a video, and to be honest with you, I wasn't really sure what to do a video of today, and that was until I came across a couple of pictures that I hadn't seen in a while. I was looking through an old photo album. I was actually looking at hunting pictures, and I came across a couple pictures of myself with my first Fatboy, and something about that picture or pictures kind of jogged my memory on something, and I thought, hey, there's something I can talk about. So why don't you guys just get yourself a beverage and sit back and relax and let me regale you with a tale of inexperience. Now, our story begins way back when in 2004, and at the time I was in about my probably fourth season of riding, so wouldn't call myself a beginner, but at the same time wouldn't call myself a real experienced rider either. And I had decided to go with a group of folks out to Abbotsford area, west coast of Canada, out in BC. We went to Mission City. It's really not too far from Vancouver. And it would be the first time I'd been in the mountains. And I had at the time, which was my first Fatboy, which was a 2002 white Fatboy, twin cam 88, of course. And it was a beautiful bike. Love that bike. Wish I still had that bike. But it was my first brand new one and my first Fatboy. Now, what you may not have noticed from those pictures was that this bike is missing a front fender. It's not on there. And there's a good reason for that. And that is because the front fender basically got smashed up. Now, this is basically the only time I've really been in an accident per se, or laid the bike down. I've had some pretty close calls. Pretty much, I'd say once or twice a year. Usually someone pulls into my lane, cuts me off in traffic, slams on the brakes in front of me. I've had some very close to catastrophic accidents where I've been almost T-boned, very, very close to being T-boned. And years back, I actually had a semi run me off the highway, and I ended up riding down the ditch. But anyway, back to my story. So I'm in my fourth year of riding, and I decide to take a trip through the Rocky Mountains to get to the West Coast, which was an interesting trip just altogether. So the first leg of the trip, we went to Canmore, Alberta, and we stayed the night there. And Canmore is pretty close to the border at BC. You're starting to get into the mountains there. So the next day, we got into BC, got fully into the mountains, and we ended up going through an area that was referred to by the people I was with as the Snake Pit. And it was basically, you're coming down the side of a mountain, nice slow descent, but the road is it's just windy. It just basically slaloms all the way down the mountain. The highways or the roads on this mountain, they're single lane, so you have traffic coming right by you when you're going down. Not very good roads, in my opinion, at the time anyway. So as we're going down, I had something happen that was, I'm not exactly sure offhand what I would call it, but I basically fixated on something. And some of you, I'm sure, will know what I'm talking about, and it happens more to the inexperienced riders, as I somewhat was at the time. I came around one of the curves, and I just kind of fixated on the side of the mountain. And when this happens to you, you basically drive straight at it. It's almost like you fixate on it. It's almost like, I don't know what it didn't say, hypnotized, but you look right at it, you fixate on it, you drive right at it, and then once you realize what you're doing, you panic, which is what I did. So I fixated coming around this curve on the side of the mountain, and I panicked, and I was driving straight at it, and the bike went down. It was either lay down the bike or drive directly into the side of the mountain, which obviously wouldn't be good either, and I was too far gone to pull out of it, and like I said, I panicked. So I laid the bike down on the left side, skidded a bit in the gravel that was right before the mountain. I did not get hurt. I wasn't going overly fast, obviously, with traffic coming the other way in that sort of snake pit area. I wasn't driving like a bat out of hell. But I hit the ground, and when we were there, it was in September, so I was pretty bulked up with clothing because it was pretty chilly. So I didn't get hurt. The bike, on the other hand, is another story. So the front fender was bashed in, and it was scraped and scratched right down to the metal. I had a friend actually came behind me, helped me pick the bike up. We managed to bend the fender back, so it wasn't rubbing on the wheel, but it was pretty much done for. Now, the other things that happened to the bike was the windshield I had was scratched up on the left side, the controls were scratched up on the handlebars, and the footboard was pretty scratched up. But that was actually pretty much the extent of the damage. The handlebars and the footboard kind of were an engine guard of sorts. There was no damage to anything on the back side of the bike. There's no damage to the gas tank or the engine, nothing. Just that front fender, the windshield controls, and the footboard. Other than that, it somewhat unscathed, and I was lucky in that. Nothing else really did happen, and that is actually the first and only time I've ever laid a bike down or really been in any type of accident. And I hope I'm not jinxing myself by saying this. I've had friends who've broken bones in accidents. I had another guy, he basically was not a friend of mine, but he had he drove his sport bike basically straight into the back of a parked city bus, broke his neck. He didn't die, but I don't think he walked again. And I've seen some, in my previous career, I've seen some other nasty bike accidents. So definitely can happen. So safety is quite a large thing when you ride, bikes like the Fatboy, and especially that Sportster there. It's kind of a suicide machine too. But anyway, I just wanted to share my story on my first and so far only real accident. Just as a story time, The rest of that trip is a story in itself, but it's not really suitable for work or family. We'll put it that way. Maybe I'll make a video on that sometime. But I just wanted to share the story. If any of you guys have had accidents, have had any close calls, let me know in the comments. We'll get a discussion going. But anyway, till then, that's it for now. Hopefully you guys are staying safe. And if you're actually still riding, like some of you are, congratulations, because I've probably got another at least 3 to 4 months before I'll be back on the road. But anyway, stay safe, and we will see you again.